Thank you.
Namahi.
Namahe.
Bye. Moving along now from New Zealand, we're heading into the Philippines. I am pleased to introduce our next session, organized by WDO member Design Center of the Philippines. The next hour will feature conversations with Filipino design leaders who are continuously redefining what it means to lead with creativity and empathy. Let's hear from them now to discover what design leadership represents in the Philippines.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to IDxConversations Faces of Leadership, the Philippine session of World Industrial Design Day, or WIDD. My name is Jody Agillian, and I will be your host and moderator for today. Now, what we have in store for you is an intimate conversation between diverse, perhaps unconventional faces of Filipino design leaders who continuously redefine what it means to lead with creativity and empathy, shaping a better, more diverse, more inclusive future for all through design. Now, to open today's session, I'd like to welcome the Executive Director of the Design Center of the Philippines, Ms. Ria Matute.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning to our distinguished panel, our design innovation stakeholders tuning in from whichever part of the world they are in. Welcome to Design Center of the Philippines commemoration of the World Industrial Design Day and our contribution to the World Design Organization's 24-hour discourse on leadership. Welcome to the IDX Conversations, Faces of Leadership Philippine session. Our session today has been specially curated by the promotions team at the Design Center of the Philippines to not only talk about leadership, but to underline the ever so increasingly volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous times we live in. And as designers and design innovation stakeholders, where we and our design skills are being asked to provide solutions for leadership becomes a very critical area and space to nurture and to celebrate. Therefore, IDxConversations, Faces of Leadership, draws inspiration from the ideals of industrial design as a discipline that places humans in the center of the design process through empathy in a pragmatic way. Likewise, we at Design Center would like to shine our light to the types of radical leadership or perhaps unconventional faces we currently have in the Philippine design ecosystem. We wanted to use this platform to show the faces of leadership that exist and is emerging from the Philippines against the often masculine and monolithic definition and imagery of leadership. We want to embrace a diversity of leadership models, but also to put emphasis on the most important tenet of leadership, which is in the service of the other or in the service of a bigger purpose. We hope that with this Philippine session and this 24-hour discourse on leadership will ripple into collective and individual actions. I value the opportunity to learn from women in leadership, young people who are tackling big issues and ushering change we need, and individuals regardless of position ushering and championing thought leadership and design leadership. Before I turn over the floor to our distinguished panel, I would like to share a few words from Facebook's Sheryl Sandberg that I thought would be good to share with you all today as a reminder. And I quote, "I want every girl who's told she's bossy to be told instead that she has leadership skills." I hope you find inspiration from the sharing of our leaders today. Happy World Industrial Design Day, everyone.
Yes, and thank you so much, Ms. Ria. Let's not forget today is a celebration of inspiration. Now, before we start, we'd just like to acknowledge our partners who made this event possible. World Design Organization, Philippine Trade Training Center. Now, we are streaming live worldwide via Hopin and WIDD, as well as Facebook Live on the Design Center of the Philippines Facebook page. Feel free to post our story about the event, tag at dti.designcenterph, and use the hashtags IDxConversations, Let's Talk Leadership, WIDD, and World Industrial Design Day. Now, let's jump right in. I'd love to introduce our first speaker, all the way from our very own UNESCO Creative Cities for Design, all the way from Cebu, Ms. Debbie Palau. Our first speaker has been designing furniture for nearly 30 years and is an important figure in the Cebuano furniture export industry. She co-founded the Holistic Coalition for the Willing, or Holy Cow, with designer Ina Gaston and serves as the creative director of the Kalibutan project. Please welcome a leader who leads with and for others by using mentorship as supportive leadership. Our first speaker, Debbie Palau.
Good morning, everyone. It is my biggest honor to be part of this panel. Thanks to Edith Rhea and the DCP team, as well as the distinguished guests in the interior design profession. I'm Debbie, and I'm the founder of the Holistic Coalition, or Holy Cow for short. I'm a public accountant by training and a furniture designer by profession for the past 30 years and still going. Before starting Holy Cow, a little glitch. Before starting Holy Cow with my partners 5 years ago, I designed furniture pieces, lightings, and accessories which our company, Design Ventures, manufactured and exported all over the world. Those were the times where buyers ordered by collections and by containers. Holy Cow is a creative social enterprise, and we work with designers and manufacturers based in Cebu and Negros. We are committed to involving multi-industry, local partners, and players in our designs, which we push through 3 points of action: retail, responsible product making, and design intervention. I will talk about sustainability in 2 ways. First, in the physical and cultural choices we make as professionals, how this affects our output in multiple levels, and how it creates geometric, lasting effects. I will be using examples from past and current projects, both mine and those I have witnessed or collaborated with. The Kalibutan project is a recently accomplished OTOP project in partnership with DTI and DCP that put sustainability as a crucial criteria for our design process. Second, I shall also talk about sustainability in the context of community and legacy, how we can teach others to make the same conscious and sustainable decisions, how we design mentorship to be a force multiplier to lift the tide that lifts all boats. This is the idea that design can be a vehicle for cultural resilience, therefore a tool for sustainability in all levels. When we talk about sustainability, it often puts the burden on the end user. This isn't holistic and nearly impossible to do if the product was not designed for it to begin with. As designers of products or space, we believe in design as a method to make our surroundings in Cebuano, our Kalibutan, better. As we begin designing a product, we must already be thinking about its obsolescence in response to concerns about pollution, global warming, clean seas and waterways, culture preservation, among others. Obviously, there are many ways to tackle this. As designers, we decided to establish a criteria and a checklist to begin with to aid ourselves in designing for sustainability. On the physical aspect, we prefer to use naturally occurring materials, responsibly sourced and documented materials, upcycled materials, materials from excess, or materials as byproducts. My favorite material is bamboo. Even after years of working with this material, it still keeps surprising me in new ways. It is technically sagbot, that's what we call it in Cebuano, or it's a weed or a grass. Of late, bamboo has found its way in a number of architectural installations. On the non-tangible aspect, there must be Filipino cultural reference or a local identity that comes from legends or some folklore. There must be benefit to the community and, of course, authenticity. These are personal criteria as Holy Cow designers operating under the Kalibutan mindset. These are the criteria, the same ones we carried over when we apply this to the OTOP endeavor with DTI. The concept of kalibutan is simple. It is that which surrounds you and me and everyone. Every movement we make ripples out and affects everything and everyone. If I move you with me. Kalibutan mindset is about designing spaces, experiences, and in our case, products that consciously improve, give room for agency and customization, allow end user to contribute and complete the design. In this way, ownership is shared on all levels of all design process, with ownership, accountability, and responsibility for the design, in our case product, is shared by everyone in the journey. In the design mentorship, I've emphasized the responsibility of designers in choosing materials, manufacturing processes if possible, and the product's obsolescence. I wanted the designers to ask themselves, is it biodegradable? Is it repairable? Is there a possibility for its reuse or upcycling? Will it just end up in the mountains of dumps or in our waterways? This is how we bake sustainability in our systems, experiences, spaces, and products to ensure that it is in practice laterally. Sustainability comes in tandem with agency. In the middle of a pandemic, in a situation that called for change, could we apply this mindset to the wide-reaching OTOP project? The One Town, One Product program of DTI, or the Department of Trade and Industry, is itself an intervention that encourages sustainability. Ideally, it leverages the product of a single community to a level that sustains it on a consistent basis. But restrictions brought about by the pandemic necessitated changes from the traditional. Then, since crossing town borders was restricted, we needed to source local designers within each province. Communications were done via Zoom meetings, twice a month for each province and once a month in the region. Not to mention the chat groups in Messenger or Viber for the design updates, comments, revisions, and photos during the prototypes while they were in progress. The Kalibutan project sought to be a proof of concept of this theory. The Kalibutan mindset itself, practiced in our company, the Holistic Coalition, won the 2019 Good Design Filipino Award for Systems Design. The project team consisted of myself, co-chairing with Mark Duich of Happy Garaje for branding, and a cadre of designers based in the provinces themselves to work directly with the MSMEs. DTI representatives from each province would work as a team, our support system with assistance from our DCP partners in admin design, with the task of actualizing and applying our criteria to the designs. This lessened the need for risky travel. Our current project has a total of 38 MSMEs in 4 provinces. You can imagine how much coordinated orchestration our designers and inter-industry teams had on their hands at that time to research on local legends and folklores where concepts pivot from, to complete working drawings, revise prototypes, and create kits that should involve end users so they can partake of the creative process. Learnings, my own personal learnings from getting to know the provincial local designers, I realized that, how they depended on Tech Talk. I wanted them, and they need to have better social media sources for cultural appreciation. They needed to level up their aesthetic narratives. And I so wish that DTI provincial staff would include a DCP trained trainer, or DCP trained designer. What we've learned is that the potential for self-expanding product lines among MSMEs is stronger when the makers are onboarded with a project 100% and are included in the documentation and discussion of the impact of their products. mentoring as a tool for sustainability becomes a reality. Mentoring included the MSMEs. Thanks to Christine of DCP, who concretized the need to create pandemic personas for whom each product is designed for, like the plantitas, the foodie, Mr. House Repairman, etc., all of whom evolved from the lockdown. The persona situates the designer into the space of who they are designing for. It informs how the product is ideated. This gave focus, this gave direction. This worked not just for the designers, but for the MSMS too. Some of them even identified with some of the personas themselves. From the collaborators' perspective, they are pushed to a new level with their craft and with the handling of the materials. Standards rise due to global competitiveness and access. Lifestyles change, and the personas emerge that indicate shared experiences. Thanks also to DCP's Chester, who came up with a design formula embodying all the components of the Kalibutan mindset. A 1, 2, 3 exercise which helped the designers to fulfill all requirements, from the cultural references all the way to the end user's creative participation. This completed design formula is then pitched to the design director for discussion and eventual approval for prototyping. For example, our kids at home then, during the pandemic, may need something to exercise their creativity with and literally create a space for themselves as a kind of fort. Or the Biyahe bicycle bags that are functional for an increasing number of cyclists and health buffs at that time. It facilitates the most important and signature criteria of emerging Filipino design philosophy, malasakit, or empathy. Good Filipino design, be it for space, systems, experience, or product, is a living thing and does not stop with the literal output. Our ship of stories utilizes various retazo or scrap cloth from our local handloom weavers. That means excess cloth can find new life and material and effort is not wasted. It also means no two ships are exactly the same, giving it identity. One of our designers, Cesar Gaston, envisioned educational assembly kits but based on the indigenous fauna, utilizing bamboo processed to make child-friendly little animals. The MSB partners were challenged to be especially meticulous and particular about their measurements because these were to be assembled. Mona Alcudia from our Cebu team observed how many people turned to bicycles in the pandemic for mobility and rising gas prices. Her Biyahe bicycle bags achieved a rustic yet sturdy and functional form. Her partners were basket weavers from the north of Cebu. Initially, they resisted the design because they have not done anything like it. Bike bags have to be designed with gravity in mind as they are latched on a moving vehicle. But it opened them to an entire possibility of new products that they could, on their own, explore. Each Biyahe bike bag also comes with colorations inspired by the sea, the mountains, and the city. These are the three places Cebu's bikers often frequent as they coast parallel to the shoreline, challenge uphill terrain, or navigate the urban jungle to work. Customizations so far include adding waterproof linings, temporary separators for small plant pots, or a softer lining for more fragile items. The model that we used for the Kalibutan project was meant to cascade ideations and allow for dialogue and agency. Ideally, after coming away from the project, MSMEs can now explore the possibilities of the new designs and utilize persona making in their process. Our designers, in turn, will have access to partners with material mastery. It shall have achieved the mission of diversifying and cross-pollinating across industries. More than that, it was designed to encourage design thinking so that our designers will know how to train designers as well. Imagine when design ceases to be a word of awe in our country, but rather a baseline for everything we do, from decorating a bedroom to planning a child's lesson to finding use for excess plastic. Community is the strength of our nation, our human capital. It's only fitting that we fashion our design philosophy around it. Tech and access to information cannot become relevant without dialogue, immersion, and experience. These are things that may be passed to enable, empower, and inspire. At the core of the Kalibutan mindset, at the core of our drive for sustainability, is malasakit. Our designers and as designers, we are vehicles for concepts and systems to manifest, which in turn allows for the growth of new designers. Let me end by asking all of you, now you are part of my Kalibutan, and now I am part of your Kalibutan. Let's all be responsible to each one's Kalibutan. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Debbie. I love what you said there. If I move you with me as far as the Kalibutan mindset. Let's keep that moving forward. Now, if you have any questions, we have moderators on standby on Hopin, Facebook, and Instagram. Leave us a comment or a message and post and tag us at dti.designcenterph and use the hashtags on your screen. Now, our second speakers co-founded Kids for Kids at the age of 15. You know what I was doing at 15? I don't. Which eventually expanded to Tayo, a multidisciplinary creative agency for ecological and societal transformation. Please welcome leaders who believe anyone can create change no matter what age, and to talk about leading young, youth-led change-making as accessible leadership. Please welcome Natasha and Isabella Tanhutko.
Thank you so much for having us today.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. My name again is Isabella,
And I'm Tasha.
and we're the co-founders of Tayo Change Agency and Design Studio.
And so Tayo began as in experimentation because we really believe that as growing up, we understood how innately our indigenous people and our ancestors really understood that whatever came from the earth comes back into it as food or as poison. And so we really understand that looking back at our culture, it's innately circular. And instead of just imagining up all these different ideas of what truly is Filipino, our entire advocacy is grounded in not looking at what is Asianized, what is Westernized, but truly accepting the idea of this unique mixture. And so grounded in all our different advocacies and everything that we do truly is Filipino identity. And we are currently living in a triple planetary crisis. Our generation talks a lot about climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And these are the things that we believe we can design ourselves out of through working with our society, economy, and of course, our people. We truly believe that there's one solution that can answer all of this, and that is our culture. Because culture really understands who we are, it reveals to us why we've survived all these years. And we believe that through designing with our culture, we'll be able to overcome this triple planetary crisis. And we believe that our generation has something different to offer as compared to what other generations believe. Our generation now understands the me to we. From individuals, we now understand how to work as a community. There's an analog revival. We really want to connect back to our past. We're dying to understand how we can better our future for other generations as well. And of course, because of that, we've become a belief-driven culture. We now want to ground everything in a deeper purpose into really seeing how we could dismantle forms of oppression through diversity and looking into our history. Because after all, again, culture is not just history, but it's our entire story. And with our entire advocacy, this is what we advocate for.
And a lot of people ask us, like, how did we even, like, think about doing these things or come up with all, like, these lessons that we've learned? And we like to thank, actually, our grandfather, who is the national artist for architecture in the Philippines. Growing up, he actually really instilled in us why we should be proud to be Filipino. So growing up, we just felt that these values came so naturally to us. And realized that, we have to love our country because it is the only one we have. And so in order to really hone our culture, we need to first learn how to love our home. And so that's exactly what we did in 2015. So I was 13 and Tasha was 15. And we just wanted to do something more than the regular designed outreaches that our school did. And so we gathered our friends and we decided to kind of reach out to certain communities, not so much as beneficiaries, but as their friends. We wanted to learn their names, their stories, how we can better help them with the talent that we have and how that can benefit another kid. And so we then realized that we have this entire network and support system, and we ended up believing in each other when no one else did. We kind of found this kind of design where we kind of close these social disparities at a young age through creativity and how our talents can benefit other people. And so with that, we then realized how we can redesign the education system, how we can kind of easily, creatively digest information that was hard for the youth to understand. So in 2018, we then began this art festival called Kamalayan, which means awareness in Filipino. And we basically just got a bunch of our friends and we did a lot of artworks that spread awareness about indigenous people. And even with that, we then realized that there was this big gap between the experts in the environmental field and the youth who wanted to know more. But these things weren't being taught in our educational curriculums. And so we also started a movement called Habilin, which means to give someone something for safekeeping in Filipino. And it was this entire educational conferences where we would close the gap between experts in the field who would talk to the youth, and it was very interactive. And so that's when we decided we have to embrace the larger reality, not just the climate of the weather, but the political climate, the social climate of everything, where the youth needs to get involved already at this time. And so that's when we started meeting different people. We actually wanted to kind of meet the kids. We wanted to meet the organizations working on the field. We wanted to meet the experts in order to kind of gather and summarize all these different perspectives to show the youth to kind of be able to form this holistic mindset that allows someone to think global but act local.
And lastly, that's where children's rights comes in. It's because we really believe that everything we're doing is for the future generation and that we wanted to be the people we needed when we were younger. And so even as we grow up and we continue our legacy, we realize again everything connects back to the children and all the kids that we've been working with for the past few years. And because of this, realizing that we needed to close this gap, we co-founded Tayo in 2018. So Tayo, we call ourselves a multidisciplinary change agency and design studio where we work directly with organizations, corporations, and companies to be able to bridge the gap between young people and the changes we want to make.
Because when we realized that the youth was capable of actually making a difference, we wanted to kind of pass on this redesign of how to make change with bigger brands and companies, and so that's what we started doing.
Because our vision is really just connecting back the economy, society, and environment for a greater change. And we believe that through creativity and through collaboration, this is all possible. Because we, again, can design ourselves out of this crisis, and it is possible by listening to the next generation. And so our paradigm when we work, it's this culture that we create by bridging the gap between creativity, community, and of course our environment, and understanding how we can really entertain with the earth in mind. And that's why our design philosophy at Tayo is actually inspired by the core culture of the Filipino. It's understanding how we're highly relative because, again, Filipinos don't just ask for your name, they'll ask for your entire story. And we're also highly expressive because, again, Filipinos love to eat, sing, and dance, and we love fiestas. And this is why everything that we do always comes with fun in mind. And lastly, highly participatory because everyone in the Philippines has to be a part of something. We like thinking local but acting global. We really like understanding how we can understand who our communities are and who we're working with and how to take that onto the global stage. And so a lot of the things that we talk about are executed in even the products that we create.
So this is actually kind of living proof, quote unquote, on how we kind of create change through creativity and with our people and planet in mind. So in 2019, we started this small enterprise called Taso, which means, random to scrap in Filipino. And basically, we decided to just collect all the plastics that were coming in pre-pandemic and post-pandemic and kind of integrate the culture of upcycling in the Philippines and turn it into bags. So this bag actually upcycles 32 pieces of plastic and 1.2 yards of textile waste per bag. And what we really love doing is we love collaborating with the communities themselves. So they help us design it. They help us, we really collaborate with them and work together with them because we also want to show them that there is a future in green design and that it's not just something that is for the people who can do it, but it's for everyone in our country because we do have that creative culture that can really innovate material.
And so the idea, I guess, that we always like to talk about is that we aren't talking about individuals as consumers. When we talk about creating products, design, and when we're working with individuals, we don't see people as people that consume, but people that collaborate. Because in the end, we really are working with and for our communities. And this whole idea, again, as a previous speaker mentioned, is all about circularity and working together as one community. Because truly, again, our solutions are found in our culture. It's this idea really of connecting back to who we are, and that's what we attempt to do with Tayo, through design and through creativity.
So you may follow us on all our different ways that we kind of innovate design, whether it be through business or organizations or products. So feel free. So thank you for having us again.
Thank you so much. Yes, I love that point that culture is the answer. And I think Tayo is the future, no? Thank you once again. Now, our last speakers are our very own. From the Design Innovation Division are a chemical engineer and an industrial designer who work with manufacturers and farmers to develop indigenous raw materials for products and packaging. Here to talk about leading together, teamwork as shared leadership, please welcome Roland, Lamosco, and Clark Mendoza.
Thank you very much. Happy World Industrial Design Day. So, basically, we want to share with you the Piñapel's journey. Piñapel is an initiative of the Design Center of the Philippines, an attached agency of the Department of Trade and Industry committed to strengthening the Philippines design ecosystem. Sharing the Piñapel value chain to showcase the Piñapel's journey. Piñapel is a locally sourced, processed, and manufactured specialty paper from discarded pineapple leaves. It is reinforced and print viable for secondary packaging applications. Piñapel is coined from the term piña, which means pineapple, and pel from the word papel, which means paper in Filipino, making piñapel a pineapple paper. Piñapel's journey began in November 2016 when Nature's Fresh requested the Design Center of the Philippines to check viability of discarded pineapple leaves. Back then, there's no utilization of the pineapple leaves as other than as fertilizer for the soil. So Piñapel initially is converted into packaging, but over the years we were able to develop Piñapel's possibilities beyond paper. Here's the brief background about how Piñapel came to be. First, we know that the Philippines is the second biggest pineapple producing country in the world. Second, we know that the pineapple fruit industry employs at least 24,000 pineapple farmers working in the plantations and factories and support a lot of local communities. Third is we know that the pineapple leaves go unused and create a lot of waste. And lastly, pineapple leaves are unfortunately often burned, releasing harmful emissions into the atmosphere. So the opportunity for a product standpoint was to find a meaningful and relevant uses for these abundant discarded pineapple leaves. So we have to find a way to use the leaves and help farmers earn additional income. For our R&D, we wanted to expand from sustainability to regenerative system. Just reducing environmental impact isn't enough, but our development needs to be the repair of our climate and biodiversity. In this Piñapel value chain, first in the chain is our raw material as regenerative. We can cultivate and grow pineapples to produce a raw material from the same land that our pineapple farmers are farming. So from pineapple leaves, fibers can be extracted, and the fibers or the leaves is used to produce the pulp, which is molded into sheets to produce Piñapel. So here's the output of our materials exploration in 2019 and 2020. From Piñapel to corrugated Piñapel to Piñapel cup sleeves. We also have laminated coated Piñapel and Piñapulp. Here's an additional output of our materials exploration in 2020 during the pandemic. So we had span yarns, handloom woven mats, using piñapel strips and twine piñapel. We also have biocomposites and biocomposite pellets using piña pulp and pineapple leaf fiber waste. We also had soy ink printing on piñapel. In 2021, we were able to produce wallpaper, decorative bowls, wall tiles using piña pulp, as well as placemats and table runners, baskets, and bucket bags using twine piñapel. We also have initial output of biodegradable film from pineapple fruit waste. So the materials explorations checks the viability of the materials for product applications prior to the design and product development process.
And then I'll be talking about our role as designers. So a unique story about Piñapel is how it employs local makers and not just the farmers and that grew the pineapple, but also the design artisans and the manufacturers and other government agency that craft and build the sustainable solution through teamwork and collaboration. In 2018, we initially collaborated with Nature's Fresh Pineapples, Oro Handmade Innovations, and IDxConversations Packaging Corporation. Now, we have a larger network of partners and collaborators for the pineapple processing, design, and product development. Philippine Design 4.0 tasks designed to create, innovate, and instigate growth as Filipino cope with the way they live, work, and relate to each other, which is continually being transformed by the Fourth Industrial Revolution. The 4 pillars of Philippine Design 4.0 are craft excellence, sustainability or circularity, malasakit, or the authentic Filipino design perspective on developing impact-driven solutions that addresses the problems of today and tomorrow, and humanics, which is maximizing human skills that is not easily computerizable, or the human-machine partnership, or computational sense-making. If we put together what we mean by the 4 pillars of Philippine Design 4.0 in one project, it is Piñapel. So, in the slide, here is our material value chain. Sustainability starts with the raw material, and in this case, the pineapple leaves. And from the pineapple leaves, we can generate fibers, pulp, and paper. We can produce the pulp from the pineapple fibers, or directly by utilizing the pineapple leaves. And from the pineapple leaves and fibers, we can produce various products under home, fashion, packaging, and art toys. This material value chain actually showcases the endless possibilities of pineapple, bigger than the fruit itself. In 2021, Design Center brings together a larger network of partners and collaborators to develop the next phase of Piñapel's possibilities beyond paper. In previous years, in 2019, Piñapel bags the wood pencil at the internationally recognized DNAD Impact Future Awards for efforts in environment and sustainability. In 2020, the DNAD Award begins the year-long mentorship and training to further develop Piñapel's potential and brand to scale. Together with Piñapel's lead designer, Teen Nazareth, was mentored by Kwame Taylor Hayford, the former DNAD Impact Jury President for Piñapel's brand development. And on March 23rd, 2022, we recently launched the Piñapel's flagship project at the Sustainability Solution Exchange here in the Philippines with Sir Tony Gonzalez as our creative director, featuring 24 collaboration partners from government agencies to companies and cooperatives and of course, the designers. For Piñapel conversion, we have indigenous and contemporary processes, wherein we combine Filipino craftsmanship with technology to differentiate the level of production and potential to scale. That's why aside from the Piñapel mother brand, we have 2 sub-brands, namely Piñapel Artisans, which is creating value through crafts, and Piñapel Industrial, which is energizing industry through innovation. Number 4 in the chain is to showcase how we reimagine agricultural waste through the products that we produced. So here are some of the Pineapple Artisan products under home fashion and packaging and our toy sectors. Hand-woven kimono jacket using shifu, hand-woven mats using twine pineapple, handmade tapestry using piña pulp, handmade vases using piña pulp and piña pulp, our toys collection using pineapple and piña pulp, and paper strip wraps using bamboo and pineapple, hand-woven wallets and bags, and some scrunches, and of course, pineapple fibers, carpets. And here are some of the products from the industrial, Pineapple Industrial, the shoes, Lacat shoes, some apparels, and tiles, and of course, printed packagings.
So number 5 in the chain is really the outcome that we wanted to achieve for Pineapple, which is to contribute to circular economy towards achieving United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So last in the chain is to close the loop. We wanted to make sure that we develop materials to design out waste and pollution through continued utilization and creating value from the discarded pineapple leaves. So Pineapple seeks to create value from discarded pineapple leaves through material innovation and product development. Here's the complete Pineapple value chain. Through the Pineapple project, we want to showcase how we support Pineapple causes for education, employment, and sustainability. And the accomplishment of Pineapple project in terms of project partners, IP assets, and product development showcases the complete intellectual property cycle from creation to protection to commercialization. So basically, prosperity, people, planet, and purpose are design centers' quadruple bottom line approach to circular design. And we align the Pineapple tagline from this. So we have pineapple, people, and planet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will never look at a pineapple ever the same way again. Now, thank you so much to all our speakers who show unique kinds of leadership. Now we get to the meat of the event. The next part is that conversation we were talking about earlier, an intimate round table with our speakers today. For this section, we are also joined by Kay Batikin from Holy Cow. As always, if you have any questions, leave us a comment or message in Hopin, Facebook, or Instagram. Tag us at dti.designcenterph on your posts and stories, and use hashtag IDxConversations together with the other hashtags on your screen. Let's begin. Okay, so I have a lot of questions, aside from wanting one of everything that you guys just showed me. I guess we're talking about leadership here, and we're also talking about the non-conventional ways that you all have led and showcased leadership within your organizations. I'm wondering, how do you measure impact as a leader? How do you quantify your own successes? How do you know you're doing good? As leaders, you're often looking forward. You can look back. How do you ensure that what you leave behind is going to outlast yourselves and your efforts? I'll start with you, Ms. Debbie.
I was going to say.
Yes.
That's kind of difficult because it's not within our control. But actually, I like to think that the designers we have mentored will become mentors themselves.
Right.
They have shown that, not all, but a lot of them have shown the fact that they have internalized the kalibutan mindset.
Yes.
And for that, I think that's good. It begins with that.
Right.
So the product that they will continue to design will now think of an obsolescence. Where is it going to end up? How will it end up? For me, good na ako. That's good for me.
Right. Passing it on.
Yes, passing
thank
it
you
on.
so much. How about yourselves?
I definitely think when we talk about impact, sometimes it's not always how great it is, but also how it transforms. And so if you can just change the life of one child, I think that's also enough to really see how far your advocacy can go. And when we were actually talking about it a while ago, we really see our impact in the stories of the communities when you talk to them and ask them and really exchange with them and how they really felt when they went through a workshop or they understood now something new lessons. And I definitely think also with our organization, with the people that we work with, that's where we see the growth as well. Because again, if you teach something to a child at a young age, when they grow up, at least you'll really see how it's changed. And that's why we always talk about leading with both head and heart.
Yeah, so as Tasha mentioned, not only like the service of the community, but also like the growth of the members of our organization, because we believe leadership isn't really like being at the front of the line, it's being at the back of the line, encouraging the people to do their own thing. And so when we see our members kind of start their own organizations or their own companies and their own things, led by the values that we taught them, like in Kids for Kids, that's where we see that really that impact, because you kind of change like their mindset and the way that they perform throughout life, or like in their own advocacies as well.
Absolutely. I hear you are managing roughly 1,000 plus volunteers nationwide. Kudos to that. That's a long lineup that you're standing behind. Yes, Piñapel, Team Piñapel, how are we?
I think as a technical agency under Department of Trade, it's about the economy. But for me as a designer, I see it more on the impact that we can provide to each and every lives, from the farmers to also the designers like us, and like the researchers as well, and everyone else that are connected through this process, making a Piñapel. How about you
Yeah.
guys?
For me as a researcher, impact for me is being able to inspire and spark innovation. So the cycle of innovation will be perpetual. So basically, we hear from several people how the Piñapel made them think to innovate other agricultural waste or industrial waste. So basically, our innovation can be sparking innovation of people who have technical know-how. So basically, the cycle is perpetual. It's unending.
Yeah, once you kind of topple the first domino, the rest is a chain effect of inspiration and action. Thank you so much. Bringing it back to you, Ms. Devi, I hear, without giving away your age, you've had 30 years experience. We'd love to know if you have a juicy morsel of advice or a lesson learned as a mentor that you can share with us.
Why don't I give you to Kay? Because I've
Okay.
mentored her
Yes.
all her life.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for having me. Since we're on the topic of mentorship, it's not so much. I think it's all about being open, right? Your mentor obviously comes from their own set of circumstances, but they have a wealth of experience that the mentee, despite our technical and formal, shall we say, training, would very much benefit to have. And it's not so much as immediately applying exactly what the mentor shows as an example or teaches you. It's a matter of processing it in the context of your own experiences and seeing how you can use that as a tool to make what you can contribute towards design and problem solving, as it were, and make it more accessible to everyone, and not just for yourself.
Right.
And by that, learning how to give what you've learned to a community or someone else.
Right.
Again, making it of yourself a mentor.
Right. It's really using your own lived experiences as well as the applications that are handed down from your mentor
Yeah.
to create a unique.
Like, for example, what my idea, I pitched to her, her idea, she pitches to me. In the end, we produce something that is a third person. So it's not me, it's not her, but it's her and me.
It's like a third
So
language
again,
between
it's a
the two of you.
Kalibutan concept. Yeah, it's put together.
Amazing. Yes. And I think we've all talked about collaborations being one of the common threads between all of our initiatives. I bet you two get a lot of this question, you should probably guess. Being so young and being in such a position of leadership and impact, have you faced any particular? Obviously, you faced some challenges, but let's share some of those challenges that you're facing or have overcome, perhaps.
I feel like starting young was really, yes, like a challenge because we really wanted to, we saw like how like the adults and the experts were really like doing a lot of things, a lot of change like within communities, and we really wanted to be a part of that. But it was the challenge of trying to get these adults to take us seriously. Because if we're like 13 and 15 and we go up to like these corporate companies asking, you know, to sponsor like fundraisers and things, they really will think that you're not being serious about what you want to do. So that was really the challenge of trying to, you know, we learned that if you're in a room with a lot of people older than you have to do your homework and you have to work 5 times harder than everyone else in the room in order to get to their level in a way. And so it was fun, you know, in a way because you're able to partner with different people but also learn a lot together with them.
I think one of the biggest takeaways when we were at the beginning of Kids for Kids, one of the funniest things was when we'd enter like conference rooms and people would be like, oh, you're actually kids. So it was really interesting to see that after a while we noticed how we were the only ones in the room again. And that what we wanted to do is really expand it. And that's why Kids for Kids really grew. And it was because we realized a lot of young people were craving the same thing, but they didn't understand how to get there. And also adults not understanding how to talk to kids and how to listen to them and take us quote unquote seriously. So I think one of the best ways that we were able to collaborate to overcome that challenge later on was by doing our homework and understanding that as young people, we don't have to be talking about ourselves as the future, but also the present. And so in conversations, when we were always looking for a seat at the table, it was to present a brand new table to adults and show them that it's possible to create something different. We don't have to be sticking to old systems and bringing in young people to try to change it, but also really understanding what do we as young people want to build and move forward with, since again, in the end, it's the world that we end up inheriting from everyone else.
Yeah, we always talk about this getting a seat at the table, but you flipped it and said, let's build our own table. To quote a show that I saw on Netflix recently, you talked about how being the youngest person in the room. Now, you might be the first youngest person in the room, but because if you did that, you won't be the last young person in the room. So thank you. That's J-Lo documentary, by the way. So moving forward, I want to talk to Pinyapel about collaboration. And I mean, from the beginning, did you understand that Pinyapel success would have to be fundamentally built on collaboration, especially since your two backgrounds, very different, but also somehow you intersect to create such magical pieces?
Basically, we have our challenges as well. So we know we don't have enough facilities. So it is very vital that we connect with partners who are aligned with our vision and mission. So these partners really spearheaded and help us to be here, to develop a lot of sectors, from the packaging, the fashion, the home, and even our toys collection. So from the start, we know and we are set to collaborate with the farmers, with a lot of people, with the farmers, designers, even our creative directors who mentored us, and a lot of manufacturers who's very aligned with us with sustainability. So yeah, collaboration and teamwork is really the key for the success of the Pinyapel project. And being able to, we actually found a meaningful and valuable learnings from this, and it connects us. All the partners connects us, and it is basically making the communities and the environment better.
Absolutely. Do you think when we talk about sustainability, circularity, at what point in your project or development does that become, when does that enter the conversation? From the beginning, ideation, execution, marketing. Anyone here is free to answer that.
You want to answer that?
I feel like it should start from the very, very beginning.
Exactly.
Yes.
First and foremost, at least how we operate is design is not an ego activity. As a designer, you have to be in a way invisible. In that sense, you are not you with the design, but you are the community, you're the people you design for, right? So from the very beginning, you have to think about who is it benefiting, where is it going, and how can it move other people to continue what you're doing and even make it better. How can you be the shoulder that people can stand on in the same way that you're standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak?
Absolutely. And speaking of shoulders and standing on things, I see a shoe hiding here. Let's play shoe and tell. Just let's mix it up a little.
There.
Clark, do you want to take us through this? You want to walk us through this?
By the way, all of these, the materials here has pineapple inside. So with the fabric, it has pineapple plus cotton, and so is the
Sole.
bottom part of the
Sole.
shoe. Yeah, it's local rubber with mix of the discarded, like the waste materials of the fibers. So everything here is with pineapple
Except for the
rivets.
Except for the grommets there.
Sorry, we cannot
How about the shoelaces?
have it with pineapple. Of course, it's the same
Amazing.
with the fabric, yeah, of the shoe.
And you said the composition was 30-70 ratio
Yeah.
as far as pineapple to cotton?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. It's a way to stretch the, I guess, the value of the cotton, the
Start.
pineapple as well.
Yeah, that's the start of it.
And then I see like a mat, a yoga mat. Is that a yoga mat? A cut?
Oh no,
What are those?
this is a woven pineapple twine, like paper. Yeah,
pineapple.
the pineapple itself,
Pina bell.
but it's hand loomed. Yeah, as you can see there.
And these items are available on the market? I feel like we're on the shopping channel now. Sorry. Where can we
Yes.
buy these? Pamain nga.
Yes, actually we partnered with manufacturers who sells local and internationally. So they do commercialize these products and the products that Clark have shown earlier. So
Okay.
yeah.
Fantastic. Now, I also see some handbags hiding here. Fantastic, colorful, black and white. I just noticed now as you were presenting that the insides are plastic as well. The
Yeah.
whole thing is upcycled, yes?
Yeah, so basically, the interiors of the bag is 32 pieces of plastic, as in we just like collect from our community. So they just give us plastic bags, those plastic parcels from like Lazada or Shopee. And what we do is we fuse them together to create the interior of the bag. And the exterior is textile waste. So we partner with local brands and companies who just donate all their scrap fabric to us. And we just design them like that. And so in terms of circularity, we really make sure that from the beginning itself, like we get the waste, we innovate it together with our community, and then in the end, when people don't want to use their bags anymore, they can return it to us, and then the loop starts again.
And I think the idea also is the design of the bags itself. Like the advocacy we came up with was really talking about our protected areas in our environment. And so these are inspired by Peña Blanca. So, and also it's endemic species, because we really want to show that within the product itself, it can tell its own stories. So even our first one was about Tubataha Reef. So what we really try to do is that there are ways that young people can listen as long as they also look pretty. And so
Yeah.
that's what we really try to do with Retaso.
Amazing. I can't help but, 'cause since we're on a green screen set and you talked about being invisible, the people, the team, the communities that are all part and integrated within the things you do, super inspiring. I think we have a, no, we don't. We don't have a question, but I have many that we'll save for after the show when we're all chatting out there. Now, so I'd just like to thank everyone again for being here and gracing us with your inspiring stories, and for such an enriching discussion, and for showing how leadership can look and feel different. I think there's a lot of like feeling where it's not, you talked about things that you're doing and the emotion and the passion behind your initiatives as well, and how it looks different and maybe even better from what we were taught before. And at this point, we'd like to invite everybody to fill out our feedback form, which you can access through the QR code on your screen through bit.ly/IDxForm2022. We'll be able to give attendance certificates to those who complete it. Yay, happy World Industrial Design Day, everybody! Again, thank you so much to everybody here today, our speakers, Ms. Ria, all our attendees, and the Design Center team. We'd also like to thank our partners who made this event possible. World Design Organization, Philippine Trade Training Center. Now taking a nod from the "If I move you with me," this is our cue to take a photo. So let's all just squeeze in and smile for our picture. All right, thank you so much again for joining us today. I'm Jody, and this has been IDX Conversations, Faces of Leadership, the Philippine session. Yay! Good job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers who joined us from the Philippines to share their stories. And a big thank you to WDO member Design Center of the Philippines for organizing that really engaging session for the past hour.